Let's talk Tanya for the 21st of a leap year. Today, we begin a new chapter in Tanya, a new letter from the Alter Rebbe, also on the topic of tzedakah. And the Alter Rebbe begins with the words from Sefer Mishli, from Proverbs, Zereya tzedakah secher emes, which means that those who plant tzedakah, their reward is emes, truth. What does this mean? What does it mean that the reward for something is truth? What does it mean to receive truth? And why is that connected to tzedakah? On the topic of truth, the Alter Rebbe brings down another pasuk which says, Titein emes Yaakov, which means we turn to Hashem and we praise Hashem. We say, God, you give emes, you give truth to Yaakov. What does that mean? Is Yaakov lacking truth? Why does he need to have an augmentation of truth given to him by Hashem? So for the rest of today's Tanya, we're going to be talking about Yaakov, the significance of Yaakov. And then in tomorrow's Tanya, we're going to use that information to answer all the questions that we asked earlier. We know that we have 3 forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. It's not only, these weren't only personalities that lived many thousands of years ago, but we have them also, every single one of us, we have them within ourselves. And Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov represent 3 different ways to serve Hashem. Avraham is serving Hashem through kindness, through love. Yitzchak is serving Hashem with awe, with discipline, with reverence. And what is Yaakov? The character trait of Yaakov is tiferes, which is regimen, which is compassion, serving God with compassion. Now, how do you serve God with compassion? Serving God with compassion, the Alter Rebbe explains, is taking the time to contemplate the kind of rachmanas, the mercy that it is on a soul over here in this world. As we discussed in the last chapter in Tanya, and maybe this is why those who made the Tanya, this part of Tanya, they put this chapter after the previous one. In the previous chapter, we discussed at length how this entire world is all created by one letter, the Hey of Hashem's name. There is so much going on in this world, but all of it comes from Hashem's speech, and ultimately all of Hashem's speech starts with one letter. Think about everything in this world. Not only everything in this world has a different energy, and not only everything in this world, every moment in time also has a different energy. And every single one of these are from different configurations of God's speech. But ultimately, all this begins from the letter Hey. God himself is infinitely removed from everything in this world. This world is a huge contraction of God's energy into that single letter. And yet here we are, our souls, we inhabit this world, this lowly world where there's almost no revelation of godliness over here. A world where the soul comes down over here and is liable and susceptible to messing up, to going against God's will. And the service of Yaakov, just like the service of Avram is to contemplate God's greatness and to arrive at a love for God, the service of Yitzchak is to contemplate God's greatness and to arrive at an awe for God. The service of Yaakov, which is something that we also are supposed to be doing, is the contemplation that leads us to feeling a tremendous rachmim, compassion on our souls. What does this have to do with emes? What does this have to do with tzedakah? Come back tomorrow. Let's talk Tanya, and we'll answer all these questions.